Hi, happy Monday. So as you can see, I am taking the very brave and bold move of talking to the camera. This is not something I have ever done in my life. I feel completely out of my comfort zone. I keep wanting to look away from the camera. So please bear with me if this comes across as awkward or I start to look away, because this is not natural for me. But anyway, here we go. So it's Monday morning. My girls are at school. I haven't got any work today. And so therefore I have the rare opportunity to go and visit my really good friend, Lauren, who happens to live in Frinton, which is by the seaside. So I'm going off now to drive to hers, and I really need it. I need time away from Earl's Cone. I kind of feel like I'm a bit trapped there at the moment, and it's hard. As lovely and as pretty as it is, it's tough. So a day by the sea, even though it's raining, it's grey, it's dull, I need it. I need to see a friend, and I need to go and breathe in some sea air.
It has to be said that you cannot beat a good old pair of Wellington boots, especially for walking on the beach.
So here I am on Frinton Beach, in the rain, in the wind, and it's glorious. It's not summer with ice creams and fish and chips. It's full on rain and wind and waves and seagulls, but I love it, and you just have to get out. In November in England, this is what we have to do, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the fresh air. And I'm so glad that I have a friend who lives by the sea. I'm gonna go and catch her up now. She's just walked ahead, but it's lovely, and I needed it today. I needed just to get out, get away from the village, away from my house, and just break that cycle. I don't know, the days seem to just go on, and it can be difficult.
The best part about the rain and the wind was that it kept people away. Lauren and I pretty much had that whole beach to ourselves that morning, which was a blessing. I think if the weather had been better, I could have stood there for hours just watching the waves roll back and forth over my boots. It was so peaceful. After I left Lauren's, I headed back down towards the beach. Except I didn't find the beach. The beach was gone, and in its place, angry, ferocious waves crashing against the side. I don't know what made the sea so angry, but it was magnificent. Getting out into Mother Nature definitely helps ground you and reminds you to keep going. However hard it seems, time continues to roll on, and this too will pass. And I know it sounds like such a cliche, but it's true. You will get through it. I will certainly get through this. I'm determined to. For myself personally, this year has been such a rough battle, mainly in terms of trying to close the gap for Michael and I. We had both such high hopes that we would be making progress in that direction, but sadly it was not meant to be, and we essentially now have to wait a bit longer, as in a few years longer. Life has a funny way of giving you your person and then on the flip side going, but you can't be together yet, and that's where we find ourselves. I think you always know this deep down when you end up in a long distance relationship, that it isn't for the faint-hearted. You will be having to wait a long time in order to close that gap. But for us, I don't think we could have dreamt just how hard this process is going to be. I miss him every day, and that's the hardest part, is just counting down the weeks, the days, and at the moment we get to see each other on average every 2 months, which is far from ideal, but I know we're both very lucky regardless. When you visit Frinton, you will see lots of these, the infamous beach huts, all in their different colours, different sizes, and they run from Frinton all the way along to the Walton-on-the-Naze. But what's insane about them is just how much they are. If you'd like to buy yourself a beach hut that doesn't have any running water, so no toilets or anything like that, they go from £30,000 upwards. They are very expensive, and I think that's an insane amount of money. Even though the view is incredible, they're like a garden shed. Frinton also has some incredible architecture. There are several houses designed by the architect Oliver Hill in the 1930s. This is the round house, for obvious reasons, but you can see the Art Deco design and they are just stunning. Look at the gate, like a bright sunshine. I just love them, but unfortunately I do not have a spare 1.5 million to be able to buy one. If the weather hadn't been so bad, I might have carried on looking at all the gorgeous houses, but I needed to get home. Home to a messy kitchen without a working dishwasher and some semi-dead flowers that need sorting. But first, I had to go and feed Sir Foggy himself, who, funny enough, has been affected by the clocks going back. If anyone else has had that problem with their pets or have noticed that, please let me know in the comments below, as I find it really curious. I absolutely adore fresh flowers and I love having them in the house. Sadly, I can't always do this as I don't have the budget for it, but sometimes when I'm in Lidl, I will find myself sneaking a bunch of random flowers into my basket as I go along. I'm also very lucky that I have a garden which flourishes in the summertime, allowing me to cut various types and bring them into the house. They don't last very long, but the fact that I grew them myself is so much nicer. I'm very lucky that when Michael's here, he always buys me a bunch of flowers. And I think I'm going to start drying them and making a little book with them. I remember having a flower press as a child. It was one of those really small ones made up of 2 bits of MDF wood with lots of card in between, and 4 screws. And I remember using it as a child. I can't remember how old I was, but I remember really enjoying that. So I might give that a go in 2026. Have that as one of my things that I would like to try if I can find the time. Sadly, that's always the issue, isn't it? Having the time. If anybody has any tips on flower pressing or drying flowers in general because they work with jewellery, please let me know in the comments below. I am really interested in doing that next year. Welcome to my bedroom. It doesn't actually look too bad here. Well, that part doesn't. Until we get to this corner. Under the dressing table there are boxes of my children's toys which are to be sold or Vinted, and then just general mess and clothing that I have yet to put away. Laundry is my biggest issue, and I hate it. I can never keep on top of it. Since being with Michael, I have learned a lot about American lifestyles and things like a comforter, which is our equivalent to a duvet, but they don't have covers. So the comforter is its own thing, which doesn't have covers that you change. You just wash the whole comforter, which is very odd. And how you make the bed is that you would have the bottom sheet, and then you would have another sheet, and then the comforter on top. Whereas we just have a duvet with a cover on it. It's really bizarre, and it's things like that that really make me laugh. When I was last out in the States in the summer, Michael and I went shopping for a comforter, and I just can't get my head round that you don't have covers for it. It's really bizarre. Beds look so nice when they're finally made. I could do with a new cover though. That one doesn't really match the room anymore. That was the colour of my old bedroom. Then it was time to move on to some dusting. There's an angel card that I pulled entitled Do the Work, which is what I'm trying to do with YouTube. Now here's some dusting. There's photographs of me and my late mum and Nan with Maisie when she was a baby. There's myself and my pops when I was little, and Michael and I on the trip where we got engaged in New York. This antique side cabinet I refurbished myself. I used Annie Sloan paint and wax, and it's the perfect shade of green for my bedroom. Furniture is something else that I have always dabbled in and wanted to do as a full-time career, but never quite had the self-belief that I could do it. So it's something that I would like to still try in the future, and it's not like I don't have furniture stacked in that summer house ready to go. The only downside to that cabinet is that it doesn't fully open because there isn't space. I could do with something a little bit thinner, but until I find it, this one is perfect. Next was the fireplace. Now that is Michael's birthday present coming up in December, but don't worry, he has indeed already seen it. He was with me when I bought it for him. It's a collection of vintage cigarette cards showcasing different minis. He is particularly obsessed with his. That's a painting which hung in my mum's house, which I kept after she passed. And then all the other little knickknacks, crystals, which once were in my nan's garden, and then hair clips and other bits and pieces which really shouldn't be up there but end up getting dumped there. If you haven't already guessed, I am a big fan of candlesticks. I particularly love them. They look very old-fashioned, which obviously they were used before electricity was invented. And I just think they fit into an old house perfectly. Now, I love this fireplace. I always dreamed of having my own fireplace in my bedroom. Apparently it is usable, but I haven't tried it. Unfortunately, the decorator that I had in when I bought the house painted it shut, so there is an opening which you can't see, but it's stuck. And I'm not quite sure how to open it, but it was cleaned by a chimney sweep who said I could use it. So I'm very tempted to give it a go one day. When you have a big surface in a room like this, it definitely becomes a dumping ground for all kinds of knickknacks, which you can see there. Lots of jewellery. Even though I have a jewellery box where everything belongs, do I always put it away? No, I don't. And that is something which I need to work on. As you can see, I'm picking everything up bit by bit to move it away. This was just an old chest of drawers that I found on Marketplace, which wasn't very much, but was extremely heavy, and I don't think I'll ever be able to get it back down the stairs and out of the house should I ever move. So it probably will have to be taken apart in pieces. There has to be something said about dusting. When you've cleaned everything and it's all sparkly, there is satisfaction within that. As annoying as dusting is, there definitely is a purpose for it, and everything looks so much nicer when you've done it. I love having photographs out. In fact, I need to do some more. I'm really bad at getting photographs off of my phone and having them developed and framing them. I guess that's quite common these days when we're just so used to having everything on our phones. Now that I have dusted the chest of drawers, I will endeavour to keep it that way and try not to dump anything back onto it. I haven't tackled the dressing table in this video because I feel like it needs its own dedicated short, as it is such a mess. So that will be coming up soon. Thank you for coming along with me on this YouTube journey. I have learnt so much the last couple of weeks, and it is definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone, and I cannot wait to see where it takes me.